TWMP Daily. We're going to be coming to you a little more regular the last 4 weeks of session. We're inside 4 weeks left. Busy time, which means obviously in the off-year session, the campaign season's right around the corner, and we are joined by a guy right in the middle of one of the biggest races. It's funny how this year it might be county exec races or just as impactful as some of these state senate races. We are joined by the sheriff of Jeffco, Dave Marshak. Check this out.
Thank you for having us.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
I tell you what, Dave, let you introduce Tim. Tell us who we got here.
It's a great looking hat.
Thanks.
It really polishes you.
I know. Makes me feel. I think I look skinnier in this.
Look, I'm happy to introduce him. Tim has been the number 2 at the sheriff's office since I started. I think we'd worked together since 2002 at the sheriff's office. Tim, everyone's like, well, you're number 2. He's a pretty sharp guy. I'm like, he represented our county in scholastic testing against the Chinese as a kid. I think he's pretty smart. And but what a fantastic opportunity that I get a chance to introduce him, because I will tell you, when it comes to a principle-centered leader who can really get things done, I haven't come across anybody else like Tim Whitney. So yeah, when Tim came to me and said, I'm going to run for county executive, I knew there was going to be a disruption in the force, so to speak.
You should have told him, well, I'm running too.
I don't want that many headaches. And so, listen, he has his own agenda, his own idea on how to get things done and to make things happen. And I think, and I'll introduce you in 1 second, Tim, but I think there was a lot of people speculating that he was going to be the heir apparent, the next person to run for Jefferson County Sheriff, but he put the work in and went back to school to get his master's degree in public administration because he knew he needed the credentials and the skills and abilities to be a great leader for our county. And so I applaud him for his effort. Anybody who throws their hat into the ring, it's a challenge, and he's his own person, his own candidate. So I guess without further ado, Tim Whitney.
Tim, welcome to the show, bud.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the kind words.
Guy that I've known for a while now. Let me just ask you, right now, you have a big job. I mean, being the number 2 is in a very large department in a county that I think prioritizes law enforcement. It's a big job. Why you want to make the move to the executive office?
Well, it really starts, I'm born and raised in Jeffco. The county really means something to me, which is why, I've served it for the entirety of my adult life. So when really weighing, what do I want my future to be? As the sheriff shared, my path would be easiest to say I'm going to stay in law enforcement, run for sheriff, and continue my career out there. But the longer I've been in county government, the more I recognize the importance of good conservative leadership. I recognize the importance of having the right leader there. We need somebody that is willing to be the county's biggest advocate, to be the county's biggest cheerleader. And the longer I've been in this role, the more I realized I'm that person. And I'm ready to be that person. And if your community means that much to you, and it's not a politically canned answer, it's not simply the God, Mom, and apple pie answer, and it's the truth, then that's your path, and that's how I felt.
He has it easier working for me than going into so he doesn't think so sometimes, Scott, but
Yeah, we all know it's not. I mean, it's obviously, but it's nice of you to say. Break down Jeffco County government. It's a charter county government. Yeah. So give me the job. Like, you have a county council, right?
Yeah, you have 7 elected council members that represent 7 districts in the county. And then you have the county executive, which is the full-time position that really runs the daily operation of the county.
That's currently Dennis Gannon.
That's Dennis Gannon.
Some folks here might know him as Elaine Gannon's husband, the former senator. But back home, he's Jack Gannon's son, right?
He's Dennis Gannon to me. He's Mr. Gannon.
So I have to say, what a tremendous job Dennis Gannon did of running McKenna out of Jefferson County. I mean, that it's like, I really think Mike Keogh's on the verge of kicking the worlds out of Missouri, and I say, big stein of knowledge salute to Mike Keogh for that, and to Dennis Gannon for getting rid of McKenna. I mean, that's a huge. How are you going to top that accomplishment?
I don't know if you can top it, but I'm going to defend McKenna, right? McKenna's a friend, so I can't defend McKenna, and I would welcome McKenna back to Jeffco with open arms.
We'd love to have McKenna back.
Yeah.
He is.
So you guys have no kind of ID process or background checks or anything?
No, not for McKenna's. And it starts with his dad. So,
yes.
What an awesome human being with his great family.
One of the greatest guys I've ever known in my life, one of my best friends, is Ryan McKenna. And I think it's interesting. It says a lot about McKenna and maybe Jeffco that to this day, I mean, gosh, what's he been out? He's been out of the Senate since 14. He's been out of state government since 16 or 17, and still, I don't know that there's a person more closely identified with Jefferson County than Ryan McKenna.
Yeah. And he's still accepted because he's an old school Democrat.
Yeah,
He's not the new version of the wackos. He's a good one.
I think it's an amazing testament to Ryan that to this day, and how many quality people have served in the Senate and the House. I don't know if there's a legislator, former or current, that is more closely tied with Jefferson County than he is. I think it says a lot about him and the relationships he has here in Jeff City and back home.
Every time I have the opportunity to visit, Ryan is always so gracious with his time.
Well, he doesn't have a lot else to do.
And he really, he knows so many people. He's so well liked among the legislature that at any time you have an opportunity to be near him, he's going to introduce you to somebody new. And I think they appreciate his genuine.
And you definitely want him to endorse your opponent, right?
What's that?
No.
He agrees that skid. You want him to endorse your opponent, I assume.
No, I would take Ryan's endorsement all day.
Let's talk. So, county guy has the council, but you have a clerk. How many countywide offices do you have?
Man,
Do you have
off the top of my head.
Do you have the full roster that every other third class and fourth class? And
Yeah, you're going to have the auditor, you're going to have a treasurer, you're going to have a county clerk.
Because
certainly
every
council
county is a
members.
little different. St. Louis County has a county council, but it only has an assessor. The rest of the offices are under the executive. So, as county executive, what are the primary things that you do?
It's running the day-to-day government, right? It is overseeing the daily operations of it. I think a big part of it is being that county's advocate. You serve on several regional boards. And so fighting for the community, fighting for the county, making sure that the public's interest is always being weighed. But really the day-to-day of county government's the executive's role.
What part of the county are you from?
I am from House Springs. Lived in Arnold for some time, then down to Herculaneum, and now I live in R7. So I've covered all the corners of the county in terms of my life.
It is an interesting county to me because you kind of have Arnold, and then you have a whole other part of Jeffco south of Arnold that is, they're a little bit distinct areas to me.
And so, working in Jefferson County as a deputy for decades, you learn that different parts of the county certainly have their different personalities. You get north of M, it's much more suburban. So you deal with more suburban issues. You get south of M down to R7, and it's very rural. And so it can almost feel like you're in two different places at once, depending on where you're at.
But I mean, obviously, Jeffco's grown a great deal over the last quarter of a century.
Yeah.
A lot of that is St. Louis people wanting a different quality of life, and I think a lot of that they move there for safety, and I think they move there and they vote for you because they want to be safe. They don't want their cars broke into. Mm-hmm. They don't want to deal with, frankly, some of the issues you have to deal with in the St. Louis area. I would think being a background in law enforcement would be a very effective campaign tool in Jefferson County.
Yeah, the people of Jefferson County want to feel safe. They want to be safe. The people that move to Jefferson County are moving because it is a safe community. It's a great community because of safety. And if you want businesses to invest in your community, if you want people to invest in your community, it's got to be safe first and foremost. So certainly, having spent the last 23 years serving law enforcement in Jefferson County, I have a unique perspective. I have a unique understanding of the important role that safety plays. And you can never take it for granted. You can never take your foot off that gas pedal in terms of ensuring that you have a safe community, because when you do is when it falls apart. So, yeah.
Does that mean you'd give us more money? I mean, right? It seems like a
the quiet part out loud. That's what everybody's been thinking about this whole situation.
So I do have the unique perspective of being, in charge of finance for the sheriff's office for the past 9 years. So I understand the sheriff's funding.
If we were at the Crystal Tavern, or let's say we were just we were at DeSoto. There's a great Mexican restaurant there in Hillsboro that I've come to love. I've got to go to a few times. Let's say we're set. I do think your average person in Jeffco, they says, what do you want the county to spend their money on? This, or law enforcement? They say law enforcement. I think they push that button almost every time.
Safety's paramount. If you're as close to St. Louis as we are, we feel we're a million miles away from St. Louis, but really we're St. Louis's neighbor, right?
Yeah, to the rest of the state, St. Louis starts in Arnold, it goes to Winsville. And you guys can draw whatever lines you want, but I mean that's...
But we're part of the St. Louis region, so when you recognize how unsafe it is to be in St. Louis, certainly when you come home you want to feel safe. So being so close to the St. Louis region, I think, makes people more aware of the importance of safety, and I think it's more of a priority in our community.
How vital was it to your decision to run for this office that you don't have to serve with Tim Brinker in Franklin County?
Man, I'm going to have to take a line from Tim Brinker that I used to love hearing him say, and that was freedom-loving Franklin County.
Yep.
And I always thought that was so unique. And I got to find a way to steal that for Jeffco because it really embodies who Jeffco is too, right? We're freedom-loving people. So I might have to steal that from Tim in some way or another.
I tell you, my buddy Barklage has preached regionalism for a long time now. There is a new era coming in the region. You look at your big 5 offices. Franklin County has a new presiding commissioner in Dave Schatz. Not a name everybody knows, but Tim had done such a great job for a long time. You're going to have a new county executive in St. Charles County, and Steve Ellman. I think he might think about running again, but as of now, he's not going to run. Then Dennis Gannon leaving. You have Tashara Jones was the mayor, and now she's being replaced by Kara Spencer. I've watched the St. Louis area, and I guess if you're an investor, right, you want to buy low, sell high. And I do think, you look at Mike Kehoe taking over the police department. I think it's kind of if you were explaining this to somebody in your public administration class, they'd be like, what? But I think it does make some sense here. Maybe it's not, maybe they don't take it over forever. But I do think you've got to change the public safety. You have a new innovative person named Kara Spencer. I am not a big Tashara hater, but you have new blood there. You're going to have new blood in St. Charles. You have new blood in Franklin. You're going to have new blood in Jeffco. Then I watched the St. Louis Chamber, which I thought had become a total joke. I just thought it was worthless. If you want the truth, I don't think anybody outside 270, outside of your most wokest, smell your own farts, purple skunk stripe people, thought the St. Louis Chamber really was doing well. Then I seen him hire Brinker. I'm like, okay, that is not something I would have thought. That, to me, hiring Tim Brinker, big move for St. Louis. It showed that we got a little regionalism. Not everybody's drinking a Starbucks, driving a Prius, There are people, the regular folks, like a Tim Brinker represents, thought that was a big, big step for them. Then I watched him hire Jeff Mazur. I think Jeff Mazur, transformational figure. I think you're going to like your job better as county executive because you're working with Jeff Mazur. Am I wrong to start to feel, between Kehoe's focus, between the new police department leadership, between new blood in the counties, between new blood in the mayor's office, between bringing in Brinker and Mazur to work on economic development, I'm starting to feel bullish on St. Louis, even though, as I say that, my hick mouth almost wants to swallow my tongue.
And one of the most recent examples is the $50 million grant for the 4 counties to get together for a new law enforcement training center. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but to bring...
The state put some money in on that, right?
$50 million.
Yeah.
But to get leadership of 4 communities, Jefferson, St. Charles, St. Louis County, and Franklin County together, speaks volumes about the possibilities out there and the partnerships that can be created.
So you're a fan of that Huff guy?
I like Lincoln.
You'd be the only one, yeah. Don't tell people that. These cameras are live, Dave. We got to keep that quiet. But no, I actually do. I mean, the history of this state is we all hate St. Louis, right? Going back to the 1850s, right? It was everybody in St. Louis. I actually do think, for the first time in my professional, I've watched St. Louis my entire professional lifetime on a downward trajectory. TWA, the brewery, I mean, just the tough things that have been tough to absorb in that community. I think, like, Kehoe gave this, we're at dinner, and he was talking about, it wasn't a public speech. He was saying that, I think St. Louis, for investors, is a place you can buy low right now. And am I wrong? I mean, I feel like between new blood, between some of the decisions the citizens of the city of St. Louis are making, to be a little more practical, between really the hiring of Brinker and Mazur, I'm kind of getting bullish on St. Louis. Now, the baseball team, let's not talk about that. Because really, to me, St. Louis is a baseball team with a city, not a city with a baseball team. But, I mean, outside of the Cardinals, I'm kind of bullish on St. Louis.
But if you look at the St. Louis region, if you're from Franklin County, Jefferson County, St. Charles, and you go to Hawaii on vacation and someone asks you where you're from, what do you say? You're going to say St. Louis, right? So at some level, if you're in our region, you identify that you're from St. Louis. And with that comes a little bit of that pride. So seeing kind of this resurgence in the St. Louis area, which I agree with you, I think St. Louis is rebounding back, and it's going to rebound back. But I think, for us in Jefferson County, we have to have a role. In that we're,
if you don't, it doesn't work, right?
Yeah, we are in the St. Louis region. I think we're the greatest community, in my humble opinion, in the St. Louis region, and I think the community needs to understand that more. So
I do know a guy that says it's first in meth, last in math. But I mean, if you really break it down,
a long way from that, Scott.
That was then you've been elected sheriff, and now you're not first in anything anymore. No, I do think it is interesting. I mean, I do. To me, and maybe I've just listened to Barklage for too long about this. you know, I think sometimes people say they live in Jeffco to define themselves. They don't live in St. Louis, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's some reasons for that. But to me, I think I saw some regionalism. I did a show with all the county executives and the mayor once with. I think it was. I don't think we had Dennis. We had Dennis and maybe Brinker, Elman, and it might have been Lyda instead of Sam. I can't remember. But there's been some folks working on some of these regional issues. It makes sense to me. Is it just not true that people in Herky are better off if St. Louis is succeeding? And I mean the city of St. Louis. I think people in Herculaneum are better off, right?
Yeah, absolutely, especially when you talk about safety.
Yeah.
A safer St. Louis means a safer community to us. Criminals are transient. They seldom stay in one area. So certainly, if we just take the public safety issue and we isolate it, a safer St. Louis means a safer Jefferson County, means a safer St. Charles County. A more economically prosperous St. Louis means a more prosperous Jefferson County, means a more prosperous Franklin County, St. Charles County. And specifically, if you look at our county, we're very much a bedroom community. Most of the people in Jefferson County are commuting north into St. Louis County and St. Louis City for their jobs. And so if the economy in St. Louis is thriving because of good decisions and it's on the rebound, then the people of Jeffco are going to thrive as well. They're going to have more dollars in their pocket to spend locally. And I think that's important. So a thriving St. Louis is good for a thriving Jefferson County.
We're talking a little Jeffco geography in a second, but first I want to thank my buddy Cole. Thank you so much. Up in the big town of Kirksville, sending me this terrific Anheuser-Busch Stein. It's got the lid, it's got the whole thing. Not quite as cool as the one you gave me that I moved to be on display in the bar because I like to drink out of it. And then the folks make a United Fire up in the Great Northwest. Appreciate them sponsoring the show. And if you're going to stay here, I mean, where do you stay when you come to Jeff City?
The Hilton or the Marriott.
The Courtyard by
If
Marriott.
I've shared this with you. Since you've been advertising for the Marriott, I can never get a room there. It's
gotta
always
text
sold
me.
out.
You gotta text
It's always
me.
sold out.
When I saw you last week, I should have asked you, do you want me to text Randolph and see if I can get you in?
Because that's the only way I can get a room here.
Well, when you're sheriff of county executive of Jefferson County, you won't have to deal with these problems. You can drop the "Do you know who I am" on them.
I don't know if that ever works.
All right, let's talk a little geography here. In Arnold, favorite non-chain restaurant?
Non-chain, does local chain count?
Yeah, I think
Like
so.
Cyberg's is amazing. It's an amazing family.
I've more
Huge
than
law
once stayed at
enforcement
that
supporters.
brewery and hit that Cyberg's. They close a little early, but the Hot Shots down the hill a little bit, it stays open till 1.
Yeah, Hot Shots is definitely got more of a party atmosphere than Cyberg's. But man, Cyberg's family's great. The food's great.
The food's great, but they
Yeah.
do close like at 11 or so. And being white trash, I like to drink later in the evening. But I've hit that jury many times. And to Festus, favorite place to go in Festus.
Oh, there's a lot of great places. You have Tetros, Pasta House, which is another local one. Great
Yep.
local owner.
In Peevely, Gene's Country Club in Peevely, outstanding. Great music. I love that place. You could patrol that road a little less, getting back to the interstate. I mean, you don't. Jeff County wants to be safe, but maybe not the road from Gene's Country Club to the interstate. Maybe that doesn't need as much protecting and serving.
Look, we saw what you did to the meter maids locally. I don't want that. I don't want that kind of reputation here in Jefferson County.
All right, Hillsboro. What a cool town. Some people don't know it's a county seat. They think it's Festus. They think it's Herky. It was Herky, but it's now Hillsboro. Is that where the office is? Where you'll be out of?
Yeah, that's where the administration building is, just like that's where the sheriff's office headquarters is. So county seat, that's where you'll be. And so again, great little local town with a great
How many
mayor.
days a week does your county council meet?
It's twice a month. So
Twice a month.
it's second and fourth Tuesday or Mondays of the month. Yeah.
During the day, at night?
It's in the evening.
In the evening.
Yeah.
That's cool. And these are they make a little money, but it's mostly volunteering to serve the county.
Yeah,
right?
they're paid positions, but they're not compensated for
the
truly
gentleman
where their
used to come
time
to
is.
Lincoln Days dressed like Abe Lincoln. He was like a Republican when there weren't Republicans. What was his name?
George Engelbach.
George Engelbach,
Yeah.
yes. Him and his wife, very nice people. I used to see them at statewide Lincoln Days. He'd always be in his Abe Lincoln outfit. I always thought that was kind of cool. He kind of does look like Abe Lincoln, legitimately. So give me the county council now. Give me a couple names people might know.
Oh, you have Bob Tulloch
Yep,
is the
yep.
chair right now. You have Charles Grodeke, Brian
Oh, yeah.
Haskins. You
I like
have
that
Scott
Charles
Zeke.
Grodeke. What a nice guy.
Yeah, Charles is an incredibly nice guy.
Yeah.
And I've been very fortunate that I get to build relationships with a lot of the
Sure.
council members as my role as undersheriff. And every one of them is unique. The one thing I will give every council member we have in Jeffco past and present is they've all been incredibly committed. They really passionately care about their
They'd be
districts.
pro law enforcement, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Because when I think of Jeffco, that's one thing I think about Jeffco is they want law and order. And that's one of the reasons they chose to live there, or they've chosen to not move away. That to me, though, it would be, if I was going to pick a background, I think I might pick yours to run for an office like this in that community.
I appreciate it. Jefferson County Council was the first county council to do the Blue Shield program. The city of Arnold in Jefferson County was the first city to do it. So you're correct in saying our community is deeply committed to supporting law enforcement. And the council's always been one of our biggest supporters. In 2018, we did Prop P. The council came out really strong in supporting it. So yeah, some of the biggest advocates for public safety and for law enforcement sit on that county council.
Drove through Jeffco on yesterday. The construction is, I hate road construction like everybody else, but wow, what a needed extension of that 6-lane. Because where's it loop down now? Is it the Barnhart exit? It goes down to 2-lane.
Just south of Peevely. It goes to 2 lanes right now, and this extension is going to push it from Peevely all the way south of Festus to 67. Which is great for me because I live in the very southern end of the county.
Well, if you make a lot of trips to Poplar Bluff like I do, getting that extension to Festus is outstanding. It did not do a lot for me when they just extended it to where it is now, but extending it on down to 67 is great.
Well, you know how 67 traffic can be on weekends. On a Friday, it backs 55 up, which creates a nightmare for travelers. So a lot of that's going to get rectified with this.
To me, that when you jump off onto 67, right away there's a stoplight at that gas station.
Yep.
That to me is the bottleneck that hits a lot of other things, right?
Yeah, and it's pushing everything back. And so part of this construction is they're going to fix that problem as well.
Oh, they are?
So,
good.
Yeah. So that stoplight's ultimately going to be eliminated, and traffic will continue that.
Well, that Huff guy's been pouring the money on you. It's almost like you know somebody. My goodness. Well, that's awesome. I'm excited for you. Now, one of my favorite. Where's your favorite place to eat in Kimmswick?
Kimmswick would be the Blue Owl.
Is it your favorite place?
Yeah. It's kind of the go-to, right? It's the one everybody associates with Kimmswick. But
it's a stall that stirs the drink there.
Yeah.
I would encourage folks to visit the Anheuser House. Was it Lily?
Let me give you another great one.
Give it to me.
LeChance Vineyards.
Yeah, for sure. You can't.
The owner's incredible. The food's incredible. They really knock it out of the park. So the Blue Owl is kind of the one associated most with Kimmswick, but LeChance is the one that I would definitely encourage anybody to visit.
Love that. Tell me about your event. You had a big event. I took Gussie to Las Vegas this past weekend, so I've been kind of stored my chips up to go. Yeah. Oh, you don't even know. It's so terrible. So we have the best weekend. He met Diesel, he had Kurt Angle, and all these guys. Night 1, Jey Uso wins. He's doing the yeet. Then night 2, mostly Cena fans are like 26-year-old virgins and kids that have some physical abnormality. And so we got seated beside one. So Gussie's a Cody Rhodes guy. He's talking smack all night. And I was worried because I saw the promotions for the next night's event, and it didn't have Cody. I had seen. I was like, oh, no. And sure enough, we're having the best time, screaming, hollering, and then all of a sudden, the white rapper in jorts beats Dusty Rhodes' son, and the weekend turns on a dime. Like, oh, no. You don't even – Vince McMahon, you don't know what you just did to me. This is just a bad deal. Tell folks about your event, though. It looked like it was packed.
Yeah, April 4th, I was blessed. We had a lot of bad weather that day. There was a lot of flooding on the north end of the county. And so I planned this event, and I learned really quickly, being a candidate, it's a roller coaster, right? One day you're like, we're going to have a packed house. The next day you're like, I don't know if anybody's coming.
One person texts, I can't make it. Like, oh, my God, this is ruined.
Oh, man. And the hour leading up to that, the texts really started coming in and phone calls. Hey, I'm sorry, weather can't make it.
Yeah.
And then I turn around, and there's over 300 people there.
That's awesome.
And it was, I was incredibly blessed that to have that kind of community turnout. I told everybody that was there, if I got home on a Friday night to go to some political event in the middle of a thunderstorm, I don't know, I made the same decision. So those 300 of people that came out
we'll
were
never forget the people
committed,
there, too.
Incredibly committed. And in hindsight, had all those other people been there, I don't know where to put everybody that night. So it was, in many ways, a blessing in disguise. At the Festus Crystal City Elks.
Oh, that's a cool Elks Lodge.
Yeah, it's a fantastic Elks Lodge. It's one of the largest in the state in terms of membership. So, yeah.
It is. They rebuilt that, remodeled that. I guess it has been a while now.
We had 2 fires.
Yeah, it is. It is one of the nicer Elks Lodges in the state of Missouri. I really like that Festus Elks Lodge.
Yeah, so I was incredibly blessed with that turnout, and met so many incredible people I didn't know were coming. So many people I knew came. McKenna came. He weathered an hour and a half traffic to get there. But even McKenna was there. So incredible turnout.
So it was a good turnout. Yep. Everything went good, and McKenna came.
So we had great music.
Well, no event's perfect. No, I don't care who no event's perfect. We always tell him our event's different nights, but he shows up somehow anyway. But no, that's awesome. I'm excited about the campaign. I think I honestly did. You do feel some optimism about the future of the St. Louis region. I don't think those are just cheerleader remarks. Now I've watched the folks in the city. Whatever you think of the mayor's outcome, this isn't working. It was something more practical. I think the new blood that's coming to all three Collier County county governments, I think is a good thing. To me, I think when you look at the St. Louis Chamber, I don't think they could have done anything better than they bring in Brinker. I think that's a signal to a lot of folks that they're wanting to be practical. It's not just about some woke competition. And then you bring in a guy like Jeff Mazur, who is absolutely a visionary. I don't know if you know Jeff yet. They're coming I understand they're coming. I know his mother's been sick, but he may not make it. But I know they're having their, whatever they call that, St. Louis Chamber of Commerce Days here in the Capitol tomorrow. I think this will be the first one in a long time where everybody's going to be like, what do I do to help, right? I think you're going to see a different feel for the St. Louis. And I personally am excited to see St. Louis. It feels like it's on the rebound. Dave, am I wrong? I mean, it feels like maybe there's a rebound coming here.
No, there is excitement. I mean, there's excitement for the area. There's excitement for not only the leaders of all the counties, but also from a law enforcement perspective, with the new law enforcement training facility. We have such a great partnership and relationship with the other areas.
Could I make one suggestion?
I'm excited.
I do think you should let the city of St. Louis do the DWI training. They do the best job of DWI enforcement in the entire, maybe the country. And I really hope Kehoe doesn't screw that up with the new police force. I mean, their DWI enforcement, you can't beat it.
I don't know where you're going with it.
You absolutely know where I'm going with that.
I do. I'm just not going to comment on it. Look, I think we have some. I'm excited too. I mean, just not only from the law enforcement perspective, but looking at it on a larger scale. And for somebody like Tim to jump in to want to be one of those leaders, it's exciting for me to see too. I mean, I'm excited for our community. I'm excited for the opportunities that Tim presents. He's one of the few people that tells me no, other than my wife.
Sorry to say, that's where I was going to go with that. You probably listening.
Listen, I think
both of them.
I think that Tim shoots you straight, and I think that's what you get from him. As he's going to tell you how he feels, and I think also, with his cooperation with East West Gateway, there's times where Tim has emerged as a regional leader, even on a smaller scale. I'm excited for our community. I'm excited for the region, and I know we have other big races in the region with St. Charles County. We're certainly paying attention to that, and but there is some optimism out there. I agree with you. We've got past this defund police movement, and I think people in our region are excited to get back to public safety.
Got a buddy of mine sending a text: Jenny's Burgers in Cushing and Barnhart, or Case and Bucks.
So both great.
Of them.
And small fact: the owner of Jenny's is one of our lieutenants' family. And so as a young deputy, I learned about Jenny's really quickly because they always took care of the other deputies. So great food.
I just think at the end of the day, when you look at this race, if a person in Jefferson County, every candidate that runs is going to say they're pro-law enforcement, right? I do think it's a tremendous advantage to say, not only am I pro-law enforcement, I've been a law enforcement officer, and I've been at a high level administering what I would say is a very successful department. To me, that's the message, right? Is you support law enforcement, you have a chance to put someone from law enforcement leading county government.
Yeah.
It's a powerful message.
Yeah, without a doubt. Certainly I have the experience. I'm not just shooting from the hip on this. I have a track record. I have that experience.
Well, Jeffco's going to be a fun place this next summer. You have your race, a state senate seat that's open. You could have some open state rep seats. It's going to be kind of a fun. You'll be competing for some of those corners, right?
Yeah, I think it is going to be a busy time. You've seen the
Did you
Senate
save
race.
your Andrew Bailey sign location list from last summer? You might need it next summer.
So yeah, I think it's going to be crowded. The Senate race is already starting to pack. I think you're going to see some of those other races have a lot of people. Anytime there's an open seat, there's going to be a lot of people drawn to it. So I think it's an exciting time for the voters of our county. Because anytime you have choices, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
If I'm going to the polls to vote, I want choices. And so to see this many people coming out for these open seats, I think it's a great sign for our county. And I think it really is going to give our citizens an opportunity to vote for what they see as the future. So I'm excited.
Want to thank both of you for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for the invitation.
Appreciate the cap, always. Thank you all for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with an episode. I'm not even going to tell you Rusty will be on because we did that twice last week, and he has this appropriations committee thing. I don't even know if that's real that he was doing. But we'll have a guest for you tomorrow. Check our social media platforms and look for that. Then and then after that, we'll see you Sunday for This Week in Missouri Politics.